Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our middle school open house. Thank you for joining us today. We're expecting quite a large number of guests, so it's going to take us a little while to let everybody into the room. So if you could have a little patience with us, we really appreciate you taking the time tonight. Looking over our attendance list, we have guests from not just in the GTA, but actually some international guests. So good morning to those of you who are joining us from overseas. And welcome to everybody else who's joining us from a rather rainy night here in Toronto. The numbers are building quickly, so we should quickly get to our 80 or so participants shortly. But we'll just give everybody a moment to get into the room and get comfortable. Tonight's an opportunity for you to learn about the middle school in particular, but I do hope you've had a chance to join us for some of our other webinars that we've had on our strategic directions. We've just posted our podcast about the arts, which was really fun to do with our students. It was our first podcast, and we're looking forward to our upcoming podcast around athletics, which will be the next one that we release. All right. Numbers are beginning to rise. We're still moving along quickly with our participants. We'll just give it a few more minutes. Thank you for being with us tonight. I'll just get all of our panelists to mute themselves. Fantastic. We're just waiting for a few more of our guests to join us. We've got about 80, just over 80 families who'll be joining us tonight. So it's going to take a little bit while we let everybody into the room, but we should be able to get going at around 7:05. All right, fantastic. I also noticed on our attendance tonight, we've got some people who are return guests. So it's nice to see you. And we have one of our families who was with us this afternoon for Tuesdays with the team. We still have a few more of those events. And of course, the admission team is available to you anytime if you have questions or you want some help with the process or with our online application. Okay, just letting a few more folks in. We've got a number of panelists to speak with you tonight, which we're really looking forward to. And at the end, we'll have a chance to answer your questions directly. Really appreciate everybody who submitted a question in advance. That was terrific. It really helped shape what we're going to speak to tonight. Okay, our numbers seem to be leveling off right about now. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that you can have a chance to see all of the panelists that are with us tonight, who you will be hearing from. All right. Okay, so good evening, everybody. My name is Maggie Houston White, and I'm the Executive Director of Strategic Enrollment Management here at Havergal College. And what that means is I not only oversee the recruitment and admission function of the school, but also the retention function of the school. For us, it's really important that you have a smooth journey from the very first time you call our office, letting us know you're interested in Havergal for your daughter until she graduates and becomes an alum of Havergal. So it's a pleasure to have you with us tonight to learn more about our middle school. I'm going to introduce our panelists and get them to say just a few words about themselves. I want to start with our head of middle school, Jennifer J.J. Patterson.
Hi, everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you this evening. My name is J.J. Patterson. As Maggie said, I'm the head of the middle school. I'm looking forward to sharing with you some key details about the middle school, and I thank you for sharing your questions ahead of time. I've been at Havergal for 10 years, and it's just a fabulous place to be. Thank you, Maggie.
Terrific. And next to Lindsay Norberg, who is our Associate Head of School and also the Head of Senior School.
Hello, it's a pleasure to be here with you tonight. As Maggie said, I'm the Associate Head of School, predominantly focused on the well-being of students from kindergarten through to grade 12, but I'm also the head of the senior school. So I'll also be talking a little bit about tonight about what it will be like for your children when they transition out of the middle school and into the senior school. I've worked in Havergal for many years as a social science teacher, as a geography teacher, and now as a leader in the senior school. Thank you.
Terrific, Lindsay. And I think you've actually got a couple of years on me, and I'm just starting my 20th year. So we'll leave that number up to everybody's imagination. Next, I'd like to introduce Mr. Garth Nichols, who's our Vice Principal of Strategic Innovation and Design.
Hi, good evening, everybody. It's a privilege to be here with you, and I look forward to sharing with you some information about where the school is going now and in the future in terms of innovation in education and in digital transformation.
Terrific. Thanks, Garth. I know having listened to some of our middle school students talk about the digital wisdom course, there's a lot of exciting things happening at Havergal these days. Next up, Carla DeFilippo, who I guess from your background, it's pretty easy to tell what you do, but maybe you could introduce yourself and talk a little bit about your role.
Hi, everybody. As Maggie said, my name is Carla DeFilippo. I'm the athletic director at Havergal. This is my second year here, so not nearly as experienced as Maggie or Lindsay. But ever since I stepped foot into Havergal a year ago, it's been the best decision I've made to be there. I love athletics, and I can't wait to explain to you more about our program.
Terrific. Thank you. And then we have Sissy Goodridge, who is our Director of Performing Arts. And Sissy, maybe you could talk a little bit about what that means.
Hi, good evening, everyone. It's my greatest pleasure to talk about performing arts at Havergal. I too, like JJ, have been here for 10 years, and it's been a wonderful time to see the growth in our program. We have 5 different strands of things that happen in performing arts, and I look forward to sharing that with you in a little bit.
Excellent. And last but definitely not least, I'd like to introduce Nadia, who I hope some of you will be able to hear more from when she runs a webinar called In Her Own Words, which is a webinar that's happening on November 2nd. And it's really being run by our students to talk about the student experience. But we thought it was important for our Q&A portion at the end for you to be able to ask a student a direct question. So Nadia, do you want to introduce yourself?
Well, hi, everyone. My name is Nadia, as Ms. Houston White said, and it's really nice to be with you here tonight, albeit virtually. I came to Havergal in grade 7, and I'm currently a grade 12 student and one of the 2 admissions prefects.
Thank you, Nadia. So with that, I think we're going to get started, and I'm just going to reshare my screen here. And tonight is really a chance for you to get an overview of the middle school, to understand what it's all about, to see the role that well-being plays in our school, to understand where we're going with our strategic innovation, to learn more about the arts and athletics program at the school. And then a number of you submitted questions about the admission process. We really appreciated, we had about 45 questions submitted in advance, and that really helped shape what we're going to talk about tonight. But at the end of this presentation, we have made time for a Q&A. And I encourage you, as you go through this presentation, if a question pops into your head, at the bottom of your screen, you'll see the Q&A button. Please do feel free to add a question in there, and we'll do our best to get to all of them as we move through today. So without further ado, JJ, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you, Maggie. So I have the pleasure of speaking with you about the middle school. It is where I spend my days, and I love doing so. I honestly think I have the best job in the school, working with students in grade 7 and 8. And it is a bit of a transition phase where they're transitioning into the middle school, and then the next year transitioning into getting ready to transition into senior school. But there is so much that goes on in the middle school, so I'm happy to share that with you now. You see some photos on the screen, so you know those are from pre-COVID times, and you'll see some other photos throughout the presentation, and the timing of those photos is the same before we were in the situation that we're in now with COVID. So a little bit about the academics in the middle school. We pride ourselves in providing an exceptional education, just amazing work that the teachers do with our students, where we do follow the Ontario curriculum. The Ontario curriculum, tells us what to teach, not necessarily how to teach it. And we have subject area specialists. So every middle school teacher has a degree in the area that they're teaching, and they are focused and passionate about their subjects. They are focused on the middle school child, ages 11 through 14. They love teaching that age group, and really it's important that our educators support curiosity and the creativity that goes on in this age group, really building a strong engagement in student learning, and really help them discover a lot about themselves during these years and the learning process. A typical day at Havergal has students taking 4 classes. There's a lunch, and we have a time block for well-being. And my colleague Lindsay will explain a little bit more about that time block. Right now, we're running a semestered program. Normally, we are non-semestered, so students have class time every day in each of their classes, in each of their subjects, sorry. The program, both inside and outside of the classroom, is built specifically for this age and stage of students. We pride ourselves in spending a lot of time getting to know each of the students with small classes. And we know that when students come to Havergal in grade 7, it's really important to meet them where they're at, because students are coming from our junior school, but also half of the class is coming from schools really across the GTA and sometimes beyond. So it's important that teachers spend a good deal of time focused observation, feedback at the start of the year to help each student wherever they're at. We want to make sure that we create opportunities for their learning and that they're taking risks, but those risks are really well supported in a safe, caring environment. We want them to try new things, and they also want to try new things. And one of those things is meeting new people. It's really important that we support our students in building new friendships and navigating the relationships that happen over the 2 years of the middle school. Our school has the advantage of being a big school. We have so many opportunities for students to try new things, but the middle school is a focused area within our larger building. And it's important that our students build the skills, and we spend time helping them build those skills, that they know that they're not just at the table, but their voice is heard at the table. So we help them through those processes. A big part of our middle school is the form program. Each student, when they come to the middle school, is part of a form, what you would maybe think of as a homeroom. Their form teacher is quite often their go-to adult, and sometimes for the parents too, that is the point of contact. But that form teacher also will teach them one of their subjects. And so they spend a great deal of time with that teacher each day. They really get to know them, and they help them throughout their time. At the beginning of the year, we do focus a lot on building relationships and having fun. It's really important that students become acclimated and feel safe and secure while at the building. In grade 7, we traditionally start the year with a trip to camp. We haven't been able to do that this year, of course. We're hopeful to start that up again next year as the safety provisions allow. The form room is where students feel, they really want to explore a little bit more about themselves. So when they are participating in the well-being program, which Lindsay will talk about, they are with their form teacher. Their form teacher guides them through this. And I already mentioned that about half of our students in the middle school are new. Half of grade 7 students are new. And we also have many students in grade 8 who are new. And we make sure that we balance the classes with students from our junior school and students who are new to Havergal. And it's important that all of our students are integrated into the culture and the expectation, the routines, and all the traditions that happen at Havergal. So a great deal of time is spent focused on that at the start of the year. In terms of student support, I've already mentioned the form teacher to you, our subject teachers as well. But in the middle school, we're also fortunate to have two fabulous guidance counselors who are there for academic support, for social emotional support. And those counselors are also learning support specialists. We also have a dedicated social worker within the school. And as I mentioned, the well-being program is supported by and delivered by our guidance counselors, as well as our form teachers and other adults in the building. Part of the program really helps students build the toolkit, the tools that they will need to draw upon to find success, not only in the middle school, but into the senior school and beyond. So we want to focus on things like, who am I and how do I connect with others and belong, building relationships, communications, and communicating with others, but also what's important to me, and help students discover who they are, what's important, values aligned behavior, making sure their behavior is in alignment with the things that they believe in, building compassion and empathy. And then finally, we also want to focus on, who do I want to be? Where am I going? And that's really thinking about becoming a self-advocate, building agency and resilience. Part of that program is the executive functioning skills that we help them build: organization, time management, prioritizing, etc. And all of the adults in the building help with that. I also wanted to touch a little bit about opportunities outside the classroom. My colleagues Carla and Sissy are going to talk about arts and athletics, so I'll leave that to them. But in the middle school, we have a very robust club system as well. Students in the middle school must participate in a club. We really want them to explore different passions. There's each year they participate in 2 clubs, one club for the first half of the year and a second club for, in the second half of the year. The students provide ideas about which clubs to be offered. And we have traditionally between 15 and 20 clubs each session for them to choose and to sign up to participate. We also provide leadership opportunities both at the grade 7 level and the grade 8 level. And students can choose to put their name forward to participate in many different ways around the building and represent their classes in different ways. The middle school is just an amazing place to be. I feel fortunate to spend my time there and interact with the students that I do. The adults are incredible. It's just a special place to be. And I welcome any of your questions later on this evening. And outside of this program as well, if ever you'd like to be in touch, I'm happy to talk to you about the middle school. Now I'd like to pass this off to my colleague, Lindsay Norberg, who's the assistant head of school and the head of senior school. Lindsay?
Thank you very much, JJ. I just want to take a few moments here and highlight in particular the well-being at Havergal, because it is an essential aspect of our school program. The key part of this, of the well-being program at Havergal, is that what we want students to do is to develop the skills and strategies to be resilient and agile leaders. And this program, although the goals are the same throughout their time, kindergarten to grade 12, it looks different in different grades, because at each grade, what we will do is meet students at different ages and stages and what they need. The entire program is driven by the values of our school: integrity, inquiry, courage, and compassion. At the end of the day, we want students to be able to make informed and responsible decisions, manage difficult situations, which they will come upon, and we want them to have these difficult times, but we want them to know when to get support, and they will have lots of people there to support them through it. These will be huge growth opportunities for students. We want them to understand their own mental health and make sure that they have the tools and the skills and know when to use different tools to be able to overcome any challenges they come up with. Most importantly, though, is a sense of connectedness and the skills to build positive relationships and engage with the Havergal community. We know the academics at Havergal are unparalleled. The liberal arts program is really designed to enable students to be able to have the opportunities to explore different academic disciplines and develop a broad base of academic skills. But we also want them to have the toolkits to thrive throughout their lives. So this could include executive functioning skills, knowing how to plan and manage their time and manage their emotions as they work through different projects, knowing how to communicate well, resolve any disputes or conflicts they might have, be aware of their emotions and manage these skills, have a positive outlook, nurture their relationships, engage in lots of physical activity, and also connect with their physical environment. These are skills that we teach from kindergarten to grade 12. But in particular, in the middle school, this is a program that is led by the middle school guidance counselors and supported by the middle school form teachers. So as I say, a key component of this is making sure each of your children is very well known in the school. And they will be known very well by their form teachers, but they'll also be known by their guidance counselors. And the well-being program, JJ talks specifically about time for this program every day, but it doesn't just happen in this time, it happens throughout the student's day. But there is time in the morning where students will participate in a variety of different activities. It could be grade-based programming that's led by the guidance counselor. It could be learning different skills in order to manage their calendar and plan towards assignments. Or it could be role-playing activities to talk about different relationship skills. But it also is things like prayers, where we meet as a school community. We meet with students from grade 7 to 12 about once a week, and students or staff speak, or we have outside guest speakers on ideas that we come together as a school community. So that also develops quite a sense of connectedness amongst the school. It's a very special time in our school day. We sing together, unfortunately not as much these days, but we are still doing prayers right now, albeit virtually over Zoom, and the students are doing a great job in terms of leading different programs there through prayers. Students also will have smaller group discussions with their form teachers in this time so that they have a more intimate time to build relationships with their form teachers. As students progress out of middle school and into senior school, this programming shifts slightly, as do the students. So as they grow, so does the program grow with them. And they shift from being, instead of in grade-based forms, and then they shift into houses and into their advisory groups. So they move into a different type of model where they are supported with students in grade 9 through 12 in one advisory group. And again, then by senior school guidance counselors. So the key piece is that the fundamental principle of all of this stays the same, that the student is very well known by a variety of key adults in the building, but we allow the program to grow up with the students as they grow up and they want to expand and have different opportunities. Carla and Sissy are going to talk about the arts and the physical, the athletics program, but I can't help but mention right now in COVID, the role that they are playing in our well-being program as well, because in every weekly cycle, students also have had an opportunity for co-curricular programming that's delivered within the school day. So outside my window every day right now, there are kids participating in arts programming or playing Frisbee golf or playing soccer on the upper pitch, all with COVID safety precautions in place. But this is all part of our well-being program. As I talk about the need for the physical activity and social engagement, we have built this program into our everyday programming right now. And it is essential for these students to develop the skills and the tools that they need to be able to go forward. I want to pass this over to Mr. Nichols now, who's going to talk about some of the future projects at Havergal. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Lindsay. And again, I extend a welcome and good evening to everybody. My name is Garth Nichols, and I'm the Vice Principal of Strategic Innovation and Design, which is so student-centered. But I want to start with a little bit of an exercise. I want you to imagine a school. I want you to imagine a school that is rich in tradition, but is not a traditional school, because indeed that is Havergal. My title suggests that I'm involved in innovation. And one thing I want to emphasize here is that educational innovation is about knowing where we want and knowing where we need to go to ensure that our students are future ready. So we've already mentioned the strength of our academic program, the strength of our well-being program. And so all of our innovation rests upon that as a foundation. And Maggie, do you mind going to the next slide? This is our knowing where we're going. This is our vision that we're aspiring to. This, in fact, is our North Star. We call it a portrait of a grad. And everything that we're doing is building towards graduates adopting these mindsets and skills. As you read this list, you'll notice that the language is couched in the language of practice. And this signifies that this is a journey that our students are on. Havergal is there to build that toolkit, as Ms. Patterson was saying, and Havergal is there to support in many different ways. But we are leaning into empathy. We are discovering how to be globally minded. We're working with flexibility and adaptability. We are expecting our students to not get this right away. We're expecting our students to have a first attempt in learning, which is a great acronym called FAIL. This portrait of a grad is grounded in really cutting edge research, educational research and non-educational research. So we on my portfolio, we're researching with out of Harvard Project Zero. We are doing the work with Tony Wagner, just to mention a few, but outside the educational sector, we're working with the OECD research and we're working with the research from the World Economic Forum. Those are, again, just to mention a few things, but this is looking outside the educational sector. And Maggie, do you mind going to the next slide? Thank you so much. And so I want to talk a little bit about how we are leveraging this research and building a digital transformation that will meet this ambition. With the school closure, we've begun to upskill our entire community, our students, our faculty, and our families in digital skills. Not just the how do I log on skills, but also this notion of digital wisdom, this notion of being a little bit more informed about information, about how to access information, how to use creative tools as well. So let me tell you a little bit about some of the key projects that we're working on. One of them is a course. It's a course called Digital Wisdom, and we use a short form for that called DQ. In this course, our students are from grade 5 to grade 8. The course runs as intensive blocks within each grade, and it allows them to deep dive and immerse themselves into understanding what it means to be in a digital world. I mean, the world. So digital wisdom isn't about ICT skills or Excel or Google Docs. It's really about understanding developmentally appropriate ways of using digital technologies. So within this course, we explore some incredible intersections of information and knowledge. We integrate diversity, equity, and inclusion outcomes alongside well-being outcomes. And within this course, it's co-constructed. There's a large emphasis on student agency. And what that looks like is, out of a discussion, the faculty will be following the lead of the students. So for example, just last week, I was in the class with our teacher, Jeff Adams, and he was exploring a woman of color who goes by the name of the Poet of Code. And we watched a video. The video was about 4 minutes long, but this woman of color was addressing the intersectionality of artificial intelligence and its ramifications on how the internet behaves, search engines and whatnot. And this was an incredibly powerful moment where students began to really deeply question search results on something like Google. They really began to question the interaction of the internet in a bunch of different ways, and it was incredibly powerful. DQ also has a parallel parent learning side to it too. And so we view our parents as partners in education. No one really has 100% grasp of doing this stuff perfectly. And so we want to learn with and from you. What are you doing with your children in terms of digital wisdom? And how might we learn from that? So that's just an example of one project that we're working on. Another project is what we refer to as blended learning. And you may have heard this term before. And so we're trying to figure out what are the elements of blended learning that really sit well with our rigorous and strong academic program and our well-being program. Again, our blended learning approach emphasizes student agency, personalization of the pathway of learning, and again, in a developmentally appropriate way. I want to go back to something Ms. Patterson said earlier, which is really important. We start with our students. We start where they are at. And so even though, for example, in a student coming into grade 7 may not have the grade 5 and grade 6 elements of the digital wisdom course, we are going to help them out and support them like we would anyway. Same thing with blended learning. We will help and support them through the FORM program, through the mentor program. We will help them upskill into understanding how to navigate a blended learning approach. So the final project that I'm really excited to talk about is our new learning management system. And a learning management system, we are treating this as a third campus, a digital campus, a place for our community to come together in a different way, a place for communication, social channels, and engagements to happen on top of learning experiences. Our LMS that we're using is called Schoolbox. It's a company out of Australia, and we're learning about it right now. We plan to integrate it and launch it by January for our digital wisdom course. And that's a great example. We're going to have our students learn with us and help us out, help us tweak it and make it nuanced for what we need. So when you imagine that school that is rich in tradition, but not traditional, that's really what this looks like, sounds like, and feels like for us at Havergal. And so with that, I would like to hand it over to my colleague, Carla DiFilippo.
All right, thank you very much, Garth. Hi, everyone. My name is Carla DiFilippo, as you know, and this slide will talk about the athletic program at Havergal. So you can see at the top of the slide there, that is our athletic philosophy. And so the goal of athletics at Havergal is to provide a range of experiences to meet the diverse needs of our student athletes. So some students may be elite athletes, some may be beginners, some may just want to try a new sport. And our goal is to offer a range of sports for all those different types of athletes. Some sports that we offer traditional sports such as volleyball or basketball, but we also have some more unique sports like Nordic skiing, curling, or even disc golf, which was mentioned already today. So there's definitely something for your child. One of the unique parts of the athletic program at Havergal is that there are over 25 teams and clubs for grade 7s and 8s. And that is a large number. And so the goal of that is to offer as much as we can for girls in grade 7 and 8 to have a chance to play on a sports team. So if you're going into grade 7, you're not competing all the time with grade 8. There's a lot of U13 specific teams. And within that, there'll be a Division I and a Division II. And then when they go on to grade 8, there's U14 teams that are specific to them. There are some clubs. So for example, we have yoga, we have badminton club. There are many different types of clubs as well that are a bit more, they're not as competitive and they just run on a weekly basis. We compete, so the fourth tab down there, we compete in our league in the CISAA, which is the Conference of Independent Schools Athletic Association. So that's all of our league play. We also compete in CASE, which hosts national tournaments. And then when students get into the senior school, we'll compete at OFSA, which are the provincial championships. Just making sure I got all my notes done. One thing that is unique to Havergal is a new program called Teammates for Life. So this was started actually in the spring when we were shut down, we were remote. And how it came was how we wanted to put to life the qualities that are taught in athletics. And we wanted to bring that to life. So what Teammates for Life, or T4L, is a program which works with coaches and team captains to equip student athletes with the knowledge and experience that selfless, authentic, and team-first values and behaviors will allow them to navigate their relationships, experiences, and times of adversity with courage, composure, and an understanding that supporting others will positively contribute to their own growth and development. So basically, it's our Havergal way to transfer the skills that are naturally taught through sports to all facets of their life. So you can see in the photos there, the range of sports that we offer. So we have, our facilities are, in my opinion, the best. We have 2 full-size soccer fields. We have 6 tennis courts. We have a 6-lane pool. and we have 2 large gymnasiums as well as a fitness center. So we have pretty much everything we need, just a hockey arena, I guess. Work on that one next. So that's athletics in a nutshell. And I look forward to answering any questions you may have. And I'll pass it on now to my colleague and good friend, Sissy.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Sissy Goodridge, as you know, and I said before that it's always my pleasure to talk about the performing arts at Havergal College. On this slide, we talk about the philosophy of our program. And the most important takeaway from this is really that all of our students are welcome to participate in the arts. And we're proud that they learn how to perform at an excellent level, but most importantly, that they learn about themselves and where they fit in the arts and in the world. Maggie, next slide, please. As JJ was saying earlier, not unlike many of our programs, in the arts, we like to meet your child where she is. So in all of our programs, the girls can join as beginners, even if they've never had an opportunity to participate in any of these arts. And we also have an opportunity for those that have lots of experience in their craft, that we can give them an opportunity to participate in some of our more senior ensembles. And this way we can extend them if they need. We have 5 different pillars in the performing arts. We have drama, as you can see here in the picture. We have dance, and we have 3 strands of music. There's a string program, a band program, and a vocal program. All of these groups are rather large, and it's a wonderful way for your daughters to get involved in the program with large group, and it's sort of a low stakes participation, so they don't have to be too nervous. Some of the programs we have are the dance troupe. That's a group of about 25 students, and it's a group that actually goes from middle school and senior school. So it's a wonderful opportunity for the girls to work with our senior students. And this program, there's 2 strands within that where they have competition as well as non-competitive dance. In the middle there, you'll see there's a photo of girls who are performing in our Havergal Youth Theatre or our middle school show. It's quite a popular program. We usually have between 65 and 75 students participate. And this again is a great opportunity for students to get involved in drama, whether they like to be on the stage or behind the scenes. They can be involved in costuming and props and lighting and those types of things if they're not so keen to be on the stage. We also have a middle school choir, and we have our middle school band, which you'll see there at the bottom left. And we also have our grade 7 and 8 string ensemble. And then finally, we have our middle school concert band, which is a group of grade 7s and 8s. But in addition to these larger programs, we also have lots of smaller ones that are involved within the club program that JJ was mentioning earlier. So it goes beyond these sort of pillar programs, but these are the ones that we would highlight tonight. So I welcome any questions that you might have, either tonight or following tonight. And with that, I'll pass it back to Maggie Houston-White, who I believe is going to be talking about the admissions process. Thank you.
I am indeed. Thank you so much, Sissy. So we had lots of questions about sort of the details about the application process, and our application deadline this year is December 1st. And through that application process, we will receive your daughter's report cards from the last 2 years. There's also a confidential student profile that goes to either your daughter's teachers, one of her coaches, someone who knows your daughter well as a learner and as a citizen, whether it be in the classroom or on a sports team. And what we're trying to do with that information is get a sense of who your daughter is. There's also an opportunity for you to fill out a parent questionnaire so you can tell us all the great things about your daughter, and a student questionnaire where your daughter can talk about what she's looking for in a new school, what she hopes for, where she sees her strengths. And really, through the application, the interview, and the assessment, that's what we're looking for. Our philosophy in the admission department at Havergal is we are looking for what is great about the students who apply. We are very fortunate, and yes, we had this question several times, How many applicants do we have? For every one space, we generally get 4 applications. This year, we are going to be able to take just over 50 students into grade 7, which is fantastic. So it'll be almost a match to our junior school grade 6s, where there's 3 classes down in our junior school. But the entire process is all about getting to know your daughter, getting to know what's amazing about her and what she can bring to Havergal. During the interview, your daughter will meet with one of the members of the admission team, or perhaps JJ Patterson, our head of middle school. And that's really a conversation. It's a conversation for us to have with you as her parents, to find out what you're looking for in a school, to figure out what a partnership between you and the school looks like and how we can best support you and your daughter. And it's also about getting to know who your daughter is in this moment and what she could bring to Havergal. We've had lots of questions this year about the assessment. We know that this is a different time, and we're really cognizant of the fact that different students have had a different experience from the beginning of March. We were all remote for a long period of time. At Havergal, we've been very fortunate to have our students on campus all day, every day since the beginning of school. But we know for some students, they are working remotely. They may be going to school for part days or every other day, and they might not have the experience that they're used to. Our assessment process takes all of that into consideration. And that was the reason why this year, we really wanted to focus on being inclusive in our process and equitable. It's something the school has looked at for quite some time. So the assessment this year for grade 7 is built into the interview, and it's actually a guided conversation. The hardest part about the assessment that's in the interview is, as a parent, letting your daughter do it on her own. And we really encourage you to let that happen. It's a conversation that will focus on some math problems, some word problems, and allow your daughter to submit a piece of writing. But when I say it's a guided conversation, it's just that. We'll work on a math problem together. Your daughter will have an opportunity to talk about how she got to her answer, what her thinking was. And so it's not just about getting to the right answer, because sometimes that doesn't happen because of a minor mistake. But it's about, does she have critical thinking skills? Does she have the resilience to keep trying? How is she able to communicate her thinking and how she's feeling about what she's doing in that moment? We've done several interviews already, and I can tell you it's very interesting for us as the interviewer, and it's something that I was delighted. The last girl I met with today said it was actually more fun than she'd ever imagined. So believe me, we do all we can to keep your daughter comfortable during this interview. But it's also a chance for you to ask us questions and to find out more about Havergal, our program, our liberal arts program, and all that we offer. Offers of admission are sent out on February 26th. We work with a consortium of schools that include the single-sex schools of Toronto, and we all make offers of admission on the same day. Families have about 4 days to make their decision about the right school for them, and then you become a Havergal family. And the minute you become a Havergal family, that's when your orientation starts. Right from the beginning, right in early March, you will have your first reach out from our principal, from JJ as the head of middle school, welcoming you. We have parent events, we have student events. A big number for all the girls is the day they find out what house they're in. We have 10 houses where all of us, faculty, staff, students from JK to grade 12 are engaged. And it's a really important moment. We have senior students who help out at events and make sure that our newest students really feel like valued members of our community, and that you feel like you are a part of a community that is going to support you and your daughter through her growth through the middle school until the day that she graduates. And with that, I think it's time for us to go to our panel and have you ask some questions. I know we've got lots of questions that have been submitted already. I see one of my colleagues has jumped ahead and clicked answered as on some of the questions. So you beat me to it on that. But let's have a look at these questions, and you can submit them as we go through. I think, let me just see here. So one of the questions is, JJ, maybe you could answer this. Can you give an example of the types of clubs that there are at the school?
Sure. Um, there's a wide variety of clubs, really trying to draw upon the varied interests of all of our students. There, I mentioned there are about 15 or 20 for each session, and they range from card making and scrapbooking, or knitting, to rock climbing, to debate, to model UN, to calligraphy, to Harry Potter Club. It's a huge range of interests: creative writing, design thinking, arts club. I mean, the list is pretty long. The students can choose what they would like. And if, sometimes there are students who say, for the second round of clubs, I don't see this club. What do you think about this as a new topic? And we're very open to their ideas. And oftentimes we may have a middle school student helping to lead a club because it's what they're passionate about. So it's a huge range of clubs, and it's really based on what the students want to do.
Fantastic. Thanks, JJ. Lindsay, I'm going to turn the next question over to you because it's about prayers. And it's funny because prayers is one of my favorite things about Havergal, and probably one of the hardest things to describe. So maybe for families who aren't familiar about our Anglican affiliations, but how, we're a multi-faith school and really what prayers is about, you could talk a little further about that.
Thanks, Maggie. And you're right, because I talked about it as part of our well-being program, which it is, because a sense of spirituality is also part of that. But as you said, Maggie, we are an Anglican affiliated school, at the same time open to students of all faiths. And often in prayers is a time where we will explore all sorts of topics. I mean, prayers is held in the Brenda Robson Hall, which, even if you can see Miss Goodridge, she's sitting at the moment. Her backdrop picture is our Brenda Robson Hall, which is quite a gorgeous space. And students in grades 7 to 12 will gather there together in the morning, which really has a great sense of feeling of community. And when we come in together, we'll come into music that is being played often by a student performer. And some days when I come to work, I think to myself, really, this is my job. These students are the most incredible musician. There'll be music. And then there will be a message of some type. And it might be from a number of different faiths. We could be celebrating Rosh Hashanah. We could be celebrating Diwali together. It could be from the Anglican faith, or it could be a student speaker or a teacher speaking on another topic of interest to them, not related to faith at all. But it's really about, as well, a community event. We then will have more music. And then there's an opportunity for students to do announcements. They love to make videos, and they will make the most hysterical videos that they play for the school community. And the student leaders like to get up and lead the students in different activities. They write the most incredible announcements as well. So when I say it's really about a community gathering and being there together, and as Maggie says, it is a very powerful experience that we do together, and quite unique. When students graduate, it's often a time they come back and say it's something they miss a lot, because it is a moment of quiet in their day that they might not have otherwise, that the moment when we sit together and when we are together. So Maggie, you challenged me to explain that difficult event, but the feeling of it is quite powerful.
Absolutely, Lindsay. It really is something that I'm so grateful that we've been able to continue with. There's some great questions that have come in, but Nadia, I'm actually going to ask you a question that's popped into the chat here. And that's, it's been a while since you were a new girl in grade 7. I still remember our interview all that long ago. But how did you find it? How did you find it making friends? Was it easy to make friends when you first joined the middle school?
I had actually never switched schools before I went to Havergal. I was at the same school from when I was 2 years old. So basically since when I had a memory until grade 6. So I was obviously very nervous for that switch and going to such a big school. But as Ms. Patterson touched on, the forum program plays such a big role in that, because you're with this group of girls who you're doing a lot of your classes with, and you really get a chance to know them. And then through, one of my favorite things about Havergal is the spirited aspect of it. And there's so many spirited events that happen that give you a chance. And I've also seen a few questions in the chat about house. And although you're more with your form in grade 7 and 8, you do get to meet the girls in your house that are in your grade in grades 7 through 12, which gives you a great opportunity to not only meet girls in different forms, but different grades that you can kind of lean on for support. Like, I know I found myself asking a lot of questions to grade 8s and 9s in my house. And that just played a really big role in it. And also just as per advice on what I think would be very beneficial just with any new school, I threw myself into everything I could when I went to Havergal. I did 2 clubs every year. I did a sport every term. I did choir and the play. I tried to do as much as I possibly could just so I could meet as many girls as possible in different grades and in different forms. And with that, Havergal's just so welcoming and everyone's in the same boat as you, whether they're junior school girls or new girls to Havergal, they're all trying to meet new people. So I just think with that, there's so many opportunities to meet new people, meet the teachers, which all kind of brings you into the Havergal community.
Fantastic, Nadia. And it must feel a bit exciting to be on the other side of this process, not applying to Havergal, but now looking at universities. So, and to Ms. Norberg's point about prayers and assemblies that happen at the school, we're all very excited to see what the prefects have come up with for Halloween on Friday. For those of you who are brand new to the Havergal community, Halloween is a holiday at Havergal. It is one we celebrate to the fullest. Some other questions that have popped into the chat here are really about what has it been like with clubs and sports, and what's our timetable been like during COVID? How have we made adjustments? And I think I'll start with you, Lindsay, to talk about sort of the overarching schedule that we have. And then maybe Sissy and Carla, you can chime in with specifics that are going on in that well-being time that the girls are really enjoying.
One of the key aspects as we returned to campus this fall was to have all students on campus 5 days a week, which we have done quite successfully at this point. But in order to do that, we split the schedule a little bit, where the 7s, 8s, and 9s arrive half an hour earlier in the day from the 10s, 11s, and 12s. So because of that, the 7s, 8s, and 9s are on a slightly different program this year to the 10s, 11s, and 12s, which has given us great opportunities at the same time. So as both JJ and I have said, there is a time in their day for well-being. And in that time, we have included prayers, athletic activities, performing arts activities, grade-based programming, time for clubs, time for house. So we weave all of these activities into that time. This was a request that came from students as well. Students in non-COVID time did many of these activities in their lunch hour. And they said, you know what, these activities are so important to us, give us more time for it. And so COVID gave us an opportunity to build that into the student schedule, which we have done. Grade 9 students, JJ was talking about middle school students with ideas for clubs. You should see the ideas that the grade 9 students have come up with to run clubs as well, and really giving them great leadership opportunities at quite an early age in senior school. So I look forward to tracking those students forward as they grow as leaders.
So Carla, maybe
pause there. There you go.
Yeah. So Carla, maybe you could talk a little bit about some of the specific athletics that the girls have been involved in. I know there's a new sport that I'm watching all the girls play outside my window, so I'll leave that up to you.
All right, sure. So what Miss Norberg said, one of the activities during that well-being slot is athletics, and we alternate with the arts. And so every girl, once every 4 days, or sometimes twice every 4 days, will participate in an athletic event. And so we put some time and thought into the age and stage of that activity. And we've come up with some new activities thinking, we're in COVID, we want to be outside, we want to be spaced out, we want to be as safe as possible. So the best example I can think of, and I'm totally biased, is our new disc golf course. So I don't know if there's any disc golfers out there, but we put in a 9-hole disc golf course over the summer. And so that's a new activity we're doing right now. And some of the activities are fun. Well, they're all fun, but one of the other ones that have really taken off is spike ball. So these are activities that they're a bit safer because not many people play them. And so students are more willing to sort of take the risk and try it. And that's been a huge success. But we're also offering other traditional sports too, such as volleyball. We put basketball nets on our tennis court, so we're playing basketball outside. We have tennis, we do pickleball, we hike the Lisa Hardy Trail. Actually, the most popular sport so far with our grade 7s is capture the flag on the Lisa Hardy Trail. That's been a big success. We've been in our pool with swimming. So there's been a large range of activities, and for that, I think it's been excellent experience.
Terrific. And Sissy, what about you? Are there some highlights that the girls have participated in? I mean, I know for me, it's been getting to slide into a couple of ukulele classes, but maybe there's some other things you want to touch on.
Well, I think you're right, Maggie. I think ukulele is definitely top of mind for a number of our students. It's been a really, really great time, and Carla and I have been working closely together on this. And I think I speak for both of us when we say the girls have shared that this, for most of them, is their favorite part of the day, and that's really great to hear. But some of the things that we've tried in the arts, we've done things virtually. So we've done podcasting, graphic arts, digital art. We've done ukulele, as we mentioned. We've had an instructor who is a performer from Broadway, and he's been working with our grade 10s on a mural project. So we painted both of our sheds. So if you're ever on campus, you'll see the athletic sheds now are adorned with beautiful green and gold pictures. We've done drama, improv. Trying to think what else we've had.
It's been quite a full program.
It's been quite a full program. You're right. And much of it has been happening thus far outside. We have those big tents now on campus, and you'll see the girls in there working on those things. So lots and lots of opportunity for the arts.
Absolutely. So there's a question that's popped in here about the rigor at Havergal. And it's an interesting question. Will students finish grade 12 when they're in grade 11 and take AP courses like when they're in grade 12? And it's always interesting to me because we do get asked a lot about reach ahead credits. And while we do offer reach ahead in grade 7 for French, the girls end up at the end of the middle school with their grade 9 credit in French. There's also an opportunity for girls to be selected for reach ahead math. We really feel quite strongly that girls learn in there's a certain amount of knowledge that they can glean at one time. And I'm always fascinated to hear from Alex Shum, our head of mathematics, who talks about girls' capability to really understand mathematical concepts, and that the Ontario Ministry curriculum has been designed to meet them at the right age and stage. So we don't push our girls to work ahead than the grade that they're in, but really what we make sure is that our program and our teaching has a real depth and breadth of learning that challenges all of our students. And so Nadia, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit. We mentioned that you're about to graduate and go on to the next step. When you think about the next step, I would guess that there's a little nervousness changing schools again, but do you feel like you're prepared academically for your next step? And if so, tell us why.
I feel like I'm not just saying this because I'm on a panel, more than prepared. I've been able to take every single courses I've wanted to at Havergal, whether it be AP or normal, at whatever time I so please. It hasn't really been talked about too much, but our guidance department's honestly incredible. And they really help you plan out everything and make sure you can take everything you wanted to. I somehow wound up this year with 3 spares because I was able to take absolutely everything I wanted. And now I just get to take a fun course that's just interesting to me, not even something that's required. And even so, we just have such incredible teachers that really go out of their way to make sure you know everything. For example, right now I'm in AP Calc, and our teacher was away sick today, and she has video lessons posted for everything with filled out solutions. So even with that alone, she was on a Zoom ready to answer our questions with the full lesson, not even just making us learn it on our own. Like her voice, her notes, her handwriting for a full hour today. And this is consistent across the board with Havergal teachers. I find that they put in a lot of effort to make sure you're prepared to leave. And talking to some of my graduate friends now who are in university, they say they feel more than prepared.
Fantastic. And I think, Nadia, you've touched on something that our girls talk about all the time, and that's really that relationship they have with the faculty at Havergal and how well supported they feel, that they feel like they get stretched in class, but they also really develop that rapport with teachers that make them feel like they can take a risk. And a couple of people have popped into the chat. Tell me what differentiates Havergal from other schools? And that's always an interesting question, because in some ways, I feel like that's your job, is to see all the schools and find out what's different through these types of presentations and understanding what they're about. I will say, people always, of course, talk about our 22-acre campus. We're incredibly fortunate to have such a large campus. And being the largest of the girls' schools, we do have an opportunity to offer a myriad of sports, arts, clubs, programming that isn't always available at other schools. But to me, I think the biggest differentiator of Havergal is the people who work there. I think it's the thoughtful approach. It's the connectedness between the faculty with each other, the faculty and the students, the parents. It really is a community that embraces everybody who is a part of it. And so this brings to a close our event. And so I'm going to put every panelist on the spot, and I'll start with you, Garth. Maybe we'll just go through everybody. Maybe you can talk about what your favorite part of Havergal is.
Well, I like what you were saying, Maggie. I think that having worked at different independent schools in my career, what I really enjoy about Havergal is the myriad of experiences. And that while this is and we've said it a couple of times, while this is a large school, there are incredible ways of making this a very tight, small community for students to grow, to take really nice risks, and to learn more about who they are. For me personally, it's working with students in social innovation projects. Right now, we have a team working on a Global Inclusion Challenge hackathon. They're competing as a team. There's 8 of them from grade 7 all the way to grade 9. And they're competing against university students, but they're in the mix, and they've got a lot of support from the school and through faculty mentors. So that's just one thing I would say.
All right, JJ, I'll turn it to you, and you don't get to cheat and say middle school because I know you live and breathe middle school, but what is your favorite part of Havergal or favorite tradition there?
I think my favorite thing, if I had to say something other than the middle school, is that we can be the school for each student regardless of where their passion lies. So if the student is a top-notch athlete and they're really into athletics and they want to play 3 sports a year and be a very competitive team player at not only our league level but at the provincial level, we can help them with that. And if we have a student who is an artist or interested in acting, we can support them with their passions that way. And, for a family who may have multiple children at the school, and as we know, children can be very different amongst one family, we can be the school that will provide them the experience that they hope to have based on what they love to do, so that we can really support all the students that come our way. It's my favorite thing.
Great. Sissy, what about you? What would you say your favorite thing or tradition is about Havergal College?
Oh, geez, am I allowed to say the arts, or am I not allowed to say the arts? Gosh, there are so many traditions that I love. I think the one that pops to mind is carol service. Obviously, it does highlight many of our musicians at the school, but I do love how it is a tradition that brings home old girls. I mean, there's 1,500 people in the church at the time, and it reaches out all around the world. And I love how it's a community event, for sure. Tops my list.
Fantastic. Carla, as our newest girl on the block here, what would you say is your favorite thing about Havergal?
People are sort of leaning towards this, and I was gonna go with how there's so many options for everyone, but I'm gonna leave that aside and just talk about how the community feel when you walk in through the doors at Havergal is one that, if I could think of one word, it's friendly. So you're walking down the halls, everyone seems to be smiling. You can say hi to whoever you want. It's just that warmth that you feel in the hallways there is my favorite.
Fantastic. Nadia, as you look back on your time at Havergal and you think about leaving, what will you miss?
I'm going to try so hard not to word bomb it because I can't pinpoint a specific thing, but there's something so special and I genuinely think unmatched about the connections you form at Havergal. Like, this is just one of my favorite anecdotes and it's pretty recent. Miss Norberg, I literally booked a time slot in her schedule to just sit in her office and have a chat with her because I haven't been able to have her as a teacher as much this year, that I took some time out of her day to just sit with the teacher that I've never had a class with. I just did ski team with her and I wanted to catch up. And the same goes with students across the board. You can talk to students in so many different grades, and I'm still in contact with so many of my friends who graduated last year, as well as girls in younger grades. I also was really worried about a new school having to compromise on activities I really, really loved. But not only did I get to continue my passions like the dramatic arts and choir, I got to do to an even higher degree, but I got to try out rowing, which is now my biggest thing in my life. And I'm so grateful for that experience. And it's just Havergal's been such a comforting place to really grow and develop my interests, but also not be afraid to try new ones with such a supporting environment and just incredible staff. Like all of my friends and I talk about it just on our own time. We're just like, this teacher's great. I ran into them in the hall and I had a conversation. And it was just a lot of fun. And I just took 15 minutes out of their day to talk about random events in their personal lives. And it's something so special about the community there. I don't know. There's just so much. The spirit at Havergal is ridiculous. It's so hard to say one specific thing.
I can understand that. And last but not least, Lindsay, what would you say your favorite thing is about Havergal?
Sense of community and the opportunity for students to find their passions. And people have said that well. We're both a big school and a small school at the same time, big enough to provide all the different opportunities, whether they want to go on exchange in grade 8 or go on exchange again in grade 10, or clubs or sports or performing arts, or social innovation as Mr. Nichols talks about. But there's all those different opportunities. And as I know, Nadia's tried on different things, not just the things that are her passions. She's tried on different activities in her time at Havergal. So they find their passions. We're big enough to offer all those opportunities, but then we're also small enough to have small forums or advisory groups or teachers that get to know you well and peers that you can connect with in different grades.
Well, I think that sums it up pretty well. I often think when I think back on my time at Havergal, it's all of the lovely things that you see in the brochures and in the videos, but to me it's that magic that happens in quiet corners every day, in those relationships that are built, in the first time a girl tries something and succeeds, or the first time she tried something and realized she didn't succeed but her friends were all there for her. It's all of those moments that make this school really special. So thank you for being here tonight. We're really looking forward to getting to know you and what makes your daughter special throughout the admission process, and we hope to see you again soon. Thanks so much for being a part of tonight. Take care, everybody.